This episode, guys, peak. This episode is the best episode of Sakomoto Days I have seen. That goes for season 1, part 1 and part 2. This episode is titled Slice, Slice, Dance, and there's a lot of slicing going on in this episode. Welcome back to Reviews by Hunter. That's me, I'm Hunter. Today I got you Sakomoto Days recap / review of season 1, episode 16, and oh my god, I promised you guys 10-minute videos or under for the anime reviews. This might go over. I've got a lot to talk about. Oh wow, 10 out of 10. Yeah, so this episode begins with, we see Yatsumura. Remember, I think Yatsumura is like the aura farming OG swordsman of the order. He's sitting in the back of this car chanting something that we can't really hear. It's unintelligible. And then the opening hits. That opening, man, I love the opening of this part too, because it just feels like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure with all the colors. I think I told you guys that already. Anyway, so as we remember last episode, we had Gaku and Slur. They're infiltrating the JAA. Why? We don't exactly know based off last episode, but we are starting back off from there. Gaku assassinates 2 of the JAA security guards with ease. Like, it didn't really show how he did it. He just sort of raised his hand and just sliced their necks, and they were dead. So the JAA has this alarm going off. Security alert, security alert, security alert. Remember, this is an organization full of hitmen, so they don't take it seriously. They're like, security alert, this must be a prank or something. Like, one of the other assassins will handle it. Like, no one's taking it seriously. But Gaku is incredibly capable. Him and Slur split up, and dude, so Gaku's just going around dismantling these hitmen just with ease, bro. It's not a fight, it's just a beatdown. It's ridiculous. What seems to be one of the more, I guess, older hitmen, one of the more stronger ones comes and is like, what's going on? How many are injured? And they're like, give or take 40 staff has been killed within the past 2 minutes. This was right after this, like, firing squad of, like, 4 or 5 different hitmen are all firing at Gaku, and he wields this giant, like, mallet with kind of spikes, going around it. It almost looks like what I use to mash potatoes. It's like no, not mashed potatoes. It's what I use to like pound chicken with, except a giant version. And he's spinning it around, blocking all these bullets. 40 staff members done for within 2 minutes is insane. So, sleeper agent. There's a sleeper agent within the JAA, a type of sleeper agent named Uru. I would say really he was more of just he was just hiding in disguise within the JAA. Apparently for a year for Slur. Slur shows up and then this guy that works for him just shoots all 3 of them in the back of the head and unalives them. He has been obviously gathering information on the JAA for Slur. And he's extremely capable as well. So, oh my god. Slur says something about wanting to create a new order. I said in my last video, I wonder if Slur has a grudge against the JAA, but throughout this entire episode, Slur does not seem hateful, angry. He doesn't seem like a man out for revenge. Matter of fact, he drops a line later in this episode saying, I figured out you don't need a heart to kill. Very interesting words from Slur. Now, what we see now is Yatsumura. Okay, you see the man right there. Yatsumura arrives. Now, at first, he comes across 2 security guards that worked for Slur, and they're like, "You can't be here. This is the territory of Slur. You need to leave right now." And Yatsumura slices them up instantly, bro. Dude just walks around like he ain't got nowhere to be in a hurry and just takes care of business, man. Absolutely insane. So we get a brief fight between Yatsumura and Gaku. Gaku feels his presence coming from like a mile away. He says something along the lines of like, something bad is coming. That's Gaku saying that, and we already have seen in his brief display that he is a hitman of probably, I would say, S rank. A rank, S rank. Okay, so we see Yatsumura versus Gaku, and well, Gaku. I don't even know if you could say he held his own. Yatsumura wins this fight. Okay, Yatsumura blocks the first attack from Gaku with his giant mallet with the handle of his sword, and Gaku's like, "Oh, what? What is going on?" So then Yatsumura goes on the offensive, slices off the two middle fingers of Gaku. At this point, Gaku realizes he's in trouble. He's sweating, and he literally says to himself, "No thank you," and runs away. Gaku, who we have seen in his brief stint in this show, dismantling whoever he comes across, says, yeah, this Yatsumura guy, no thanks, I'm out of here, and takes off. It's freaking crazy, bro. So then we find out Team Sakomoto shows up. Well, not all the members of Team Sakomoto. We had Sakomoto himself apart, and then why am I forgetting the blonde guy's name right now? That is so embarrassing. But the psychic. I don't know why I'm forgetting his name at this moment. Sakamoto calls Slur by a name of Uzuki. Turns out Uzuki is his actual name, but he prefers to go by Slur. Not sure why. So now we have Team Sakamoto engaging with Slur. And Slur, like, freaking speed rushes Sakamoto and stabs him. And now Sakamoto is a little bit hurt. But he literally grabs, oh my god, I can't remember his name, and throws him out of the way and tells him, like, get out of the way. Apart attacks and instantly loses his arm. It's just chopped off by Slur. Remember, Apart, the guy that I was saying was probably the strongest death row inmate? Yeah, he just got absolutely wrecked by Slur. Didn't last 2 seconds in the fight, and now he's out of the fight, man. Everything is going crazy. It's chaos. The animation looks absolutely amazing. The soundtrack in the background. Stuff is popping off in this episode, man. It's freaking great. And Slur says something about, oh, what a nice class reunion, insinuating that him and Sakamoto maybe apparently attended the same school at the JCC training to be hitmen. Very interesting. And he drops a line saying, don't you want to see if you can kill me again? This is information we did not know beforehand if you're anime only. What he's insinuating is that Sakamoto killed this guy in the past, or thought he did, but now he's back. Very interesting. So through this fight, Slur's not breaking a sweat. He is not breaking a sweat. He mentions Sakamoto's daughter and feels Sakamoto's intense bloodlust. And he feels as if he's been stabbed by like 4 different blades. Sakamoto's clearly pissed off right now. And we don't see Taro Sakamoto pissed off most of the time, but he's clearly angry that he's now mentioned his daughter. And I think Slur is enough of a threat to warrant that meeting danger, right? Insane. So what we then have while this fight is going on, and Slur is just dismantling Team Sakamoto, by the way, Gaku comes bursting through the wall. He's running away from Yatsumura. Remember that. And Slur's like, what the heck, man? It was just getting interesting. And he's like, you didn't tell me about that old freaky guy. There's also a line where Slur's like, oh shoot, the Phantom of the Order is here. We need to wrap this up quickly. So even Slur seems to maybe, I don't know if he fears him, but understands that Yatsumura is not to be taken lightly. Yatsumura must be on a level of his own. If S-Class is a tier, Yatsumura must be a league above that for Slur to even be afraid of him. But eventually we see a sword go through the door. Yatsumura opens the handle with the tip of his blade and walks in. At this moment, I was losing my mind. We have a member of the Order, we have Team Sakamoto, and we have Slur and Gaku, who are trying to dismantle the JAA, all in the same room. I'm like, it's about to pop off, which it does. So Yatsumura slices Gaku's arm off. Gaku instantly says, who needs it anyway? Kicks his dismembered arm towards Yatsumura, cracking part of his blade. Gaku just lost his arm and just brushed it off like, who needs it anyway? He's such a low energy Like, he understands when there's danger around, clearly, to run away, but he doesn't seem to necessarily want to fight opponents that are stronger than what he is. Incredible. So we then see that Gaku tries to re-engage with Yatsumura with one arm, but all of a sudden Slur grabs Gaku by the collar and pulls him back and just says, "We're leaving." And as he says that, Yatsumura has unleashed a flurry of these sword slices, like with an incredible radius. I think if Gaku doesn't get pulled away, he either takes intense damage or possibly gets assassinated right then and there. Yatsumura simply goes for the kill. But honestly, everyone in that room other than Team Sakamoto goes for the kill, which is why this fight was one of the best anime fights I've seen in a while. I haven't been this pumped up since I saw Gyatoro versus Tengen Uzui in Demon Slayer. I was going crazy. So then, remember Uru, that sleeper agent-like guy that works for Slur. As Slur is running away, him and Sakamoto have a brief encounter, and then he's running away. Yatsumura speed dashes behind him and is about to slice him, and all Slur says is, "I'm sorry, Uru." And they, like, swap places, him and Slur. It was, the way they animated that was interesting. And Uru, with a smile on his face, says, "No need to be sorry. I'm happy to be of service." I forgot to mention that Uru also engages Yatsumura. Yatsumura, while Uru has the weapon pointed at him, literally slices off just the trigger finger, and then he keeps slicing through until the tip of the blade goes through Uru's throat. I thought he was unalived and done for right there, but apparently he was not. This is where he reappears and with a smile on his face, sacrifices himself, blowing himself up to allow Slur and Gaku to escape. Absolute madness, man. This fight, I'm not doing it justice. This was so good. It was so freaking good. Now, here's another thing that was ridiculous. A narrator comes on, and this is a direct quote from this episode. "It was an ordinary day in September. 176 dead, 3 injured, and 1 more missing. Only half a year after Slur began his purge, the number of professional assassins in Japan had been reduced to 1/4 of its initial size." Ridiculous, guys. This was peak. Oh my god. Oh, you guys will not see me like fanboy over an episode of anime like this very often. This is well deserved, man. This was amazing. Once all of the chaos settles down, Nagamo, remember Sakamoto's old friend from the Order, visits him in the hospital. And it turns out there was this sort of big 3 at the JCC. Nagamo appears with another member of the Order named Hyo. He's a very, like, tall, kind of spiky-haired dude. And apparently the big 3 at the JCC that kind of made waves there was, of course, Taro Sakamoto, Nagamo, and another mysterious woman that we haven't seen in the anime, but we do see her in the opening scene, the opener, where what is that called? Where the music is playing and everything. The intro. Oh my god, the intro. We see this blue-haired woman. Apparently, she was on the same level as Sakamoto and Nagamo. We just don't really know much about her at this point. Slur, according to the other member of the Order, didn't make waves while he was there. Apparently, he was a nobody, but he didn't start, I guess, making a name for himself until after he left. But he obviously made a big enough name for himself for Sakamoto to have to single-handedly assassinate him. Insane. So, Hyo ends up attacking Sakamoto, ends up in an MRI machine, but does give Sakamoto a bit of information on where to look next. It was an interesting exchange between the two. It didn't seem like there was any true bloodlust between Hyo and Sakamoto. It actually seemed like he was secretly worried for him in his own way, talking about how, Sakamoto just does whatever he wants, and then, this mindset's going to get him unalived at some point. I forgot that YouTube doesn't like certain words, so I'm probably going to have to use the word unalived. Hopefully they don't flag any of my other videos. But we clearly went over 10 minutes here. Guys, just from start to finish, this episode was fast, it was furious, and it got very bloody. Loved every second of it. There is one more episode for me to get caught up on, episode 17. I don't know how they top this. I truly don't know how they top this. Sakamoto has to get back to prime form to compete with people of this level. I told you guys before, I love that there are so many different moving parts. Team Sakamoto, the Order, and then Slur and Gaku and whatever members he also hasn't revealed yet. It's just, oh my gosh. This was freaking 10 out of 10. 5 stars. Fantastic, fantastic episode. Sakomoto Days, man. Slice, slice, dance. I will be rewatching this. Pour apart, dude. Pour apart. He tried to defend Sakamoto, saying, no, you're not gonna sever my connection. And freaking loses an arm, bro. Like, so many people got dismembered in some way in this episode. I can't even keep up. But again, as the narrator said, on this day, 176 people unalived. Wow, 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 wow. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode. That's all I got for you. Take care.